I want you to imagine this. It's Monday morning, you step into the office, or maybe you log into a virtual meeting and something feels different. Instead of feeling hesitant to speak up, unsure of your contributions, you feel completely at home. You feel welcomed, your ideas are welcomed, your presence is valued, and your work is appreciated. Now imagine if every single person in the organization felt this way. What would change? Would it be more collaborative, higher creativity, increased performance and retention? The answer is yes to all of the above. Because when people experience a true sense of belonging, they don't just show up, they thrive. Hi everyone, my name is Nada Lena Nasserdeen and I'm the CEO and founder of Rise Up For You. And today we're diving into one of the most overlooked but powerful drivers of organizational success, belonging. My team and I work with organizations all over the world, and we see that when we create a culture of belonging and inclusion, that retention and so much more can be a game changer for your organization. It's not just a buzzword, it's a critical factor. So let's look at some of these numbers. 56% increase in performance for employees who feel a sense of belonging. That's from the Harvard Business Review. Did you know that there's a 75% decrease in sick days when people feel like they're connected at work? And companies with a stronger culture of belonging, they're 6 times more innovative. And there's something even deeper. Belonging is a human need. It's wired in our psychology. In fact, it's part of Maslow's hierarchy. And when employees feel isolated or uncertain, or they feel like they don't belong, a lot of challenges can occur, including a lack of engagement in the workplace. So the real question is, if we know that it's important, what's stopping us from actually creating a workplace of inclusion and belonging? Well, let's break down 5 major barriers that can impact how we create belonging within the workplace. And then let's talk about how we can break through that and actually create a place that's full of inclusion, belonging, and feeling seen, heard, and what I like to call relevant. Let's jump into barrier number 1. Lack of communication and transparency. Who's been there? Who's been in an organization or had a leader where you feel like you just don't know what's going on? And what happens when there's a lack of communication? As team members, we start to create our own narrative. We create assumptions. And sometimes we create assumptions and narratives that aren't healthy for the workplace. But it's natural for our mind as team members to create up our own stories. So in order to create belonging, we need to create more radical, transformational communication. When leaders and teams don't share information openly, it breeds uncertainty and distrust, and employees feel like they're left in the dark. Now, a breakthrough strategy is share more than what's necessary. Leaders who proactively communicate build trust. Try saying, here's what's happening behind the scenes, and here's why it matters to you. Try saying, what I'm about to share is going to stay in this room. Please, let's create a safe environment. When employees feel like they are part of something and that communication, they feel like they're included in the message. And remember, always create psychological safety. Encourage questions, different perspectives. Make it safe for employees to engage in the conversation. Okay, let's jump into barrier number 2. Unconscious bias and inclusion. Without realizing it, people gravitate towards those they like, right? To those they resonate with. And the reality is we all have unconscious bias, including myself, because we were all born into a family, a culture, an ethnicity, a religion, a race, an economic status, you name it. And those infrastructures that we were born into or that we've spent time around have created certain beliefs and patterns and even behaviors and barriers that can get in the way of how we see other people. So encourage leaders to ask, who haven't I heard from lately? Who might have a different perspective? Expose team members to different voices. Bring diverse speakers, cross-functional projects, and mentorship programs to the table to help create diversity and break unconscious bias. A big piece of creating unconscious bias and making sure we can break the blind spots is actually doing training and coaching on self-awareness. My team and I, as I mentioned, we're working with companies all over the world. And the very first training we do, no matter what program they are in, is all about self-awareness. Because we can't change what we don't know needs changing. And remember that unconscious bias means that it's unconscious. We actually don't even know that we have these biases. And so in order to break them as a team, you want to provide that coaching and that training to your team so that they can build the self-awareness around their thoughts, their belief systems, and ultimately actually the behaviors that they display. Barrier number 3 is lack of collaboration and shared credit. Have you ever been in a meeting or an organization and there was a big win that happened that you all contributed to, but the leader or maybe the team member was like, yes, it's all about me. I did this, I made this happen, and they don't share the credit with anyone? That can really damage a sense of inclusion and belonging because it feels like the work that you're doing isn't being valued or even acknowledged. Many workplaces, they fall into the competition mindset versus collaboration. When wins are not shared and credit isn't given evenly, it breeds resentment and discourages teamwork. So we want to make sure that we are creating a shared credit mentality on a wide level. Now, what that means is it's not just about acknowledging the people that are sitting next to you that are in your department, but it's also about acknowledging the other departments that have also contributed to your team's success. So the we over me mindset, shift the culture from individual success to team success. After a big win, ask yourself, who else contributed to this success? Who played a role behind the scenes? Public recognition rituals, shout outs, weekly, monthly shout outs. Highlight your employees. This helps other people see the contributions on a larger level, not just the leadership giving recognition from the top down. Okay, we got 2 more to go. Let's talk about barrier number 4. Probably one of my favorites, but one that oftentimes we overlook, and that is limited connection time and shared purpose. This is a big barrier in organizations, especially the bigger you get, because the larger you get as an organization, the more in the grind it might feel, right? You feel like you're not really working towards the bigger mission of the company. Maybe it's been around for years and years and years. So it's really, really important that workplaces show how every single person is actually contributing to the shared vision and the purpose. The problem is that many workplaces assume that working together equals connection, but that's not true. Without intentional time, bonding moments, people remain surface level. Colleagues, instead of having deeply connected team members, just have teammates. And we want to try to break the ice and really build true intentional connection. So one way we could do that is by having virtual rituals when it comes to connection. So what are the small, consistent moments of belonging you can provide in the workplace, starting with meetings, personal check-ins, maybe icebreakers, team traditions? All of these things can add to the purpose and the bigger picture of the organization. And my favorite strategy is doing something called mission mapping, helping employees understand how their work ties into the company's bigger purpose. Ask them, how does your role contribute to our mission? And discuss this regularly, because when an employee or a team member really understands the bigger purpose of the company and how they play into it, they have more engagement and they're more likely to show up each and every day. And now let's move on to the last barrier in the workplace when it comes to belonging. And that's just resistance to feedback and change, right? That's a lack of a growth mindset, especially when it comes to leaders, being afraid to be vulnerable and say, I don't have the answer here. What are your thoughts? As a leader, it's super important to invite other voices to the table, even if you feel that you have the answer. When employees feel that their feedback doesn't matter, guess what they do? You're right, they stop giving it. And when leaders resist input, they miss out on opportunities for growth. So some simple strategies could be ask for input before making decisions. Now, you don't have to ask all the time, but instead of waiting for feedback at the end, try before we finalize this. What are your thoughts? That's a great back pocket phrase. Showcase how feedback is used. So when you do take feedback, and let's say you actually use it, do a tie back. Let the employees know, hey, I used your suggestion and here's what's changed based off of your input. This reinforces that their voice has power. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, yeah, but I can't do that all the time, Nada. And you're right. Creating a culture of belonging, it takes time. And we're not always going to get it right. But the small things that we do each and every day can help create a culture that feels inclusive, that feels like they truly belong, and that they have a voice at the table. And the more you can create that culture and the expectations around it, the more your team will be engaged, thriving, and truly feel happy when they come to work. Gallup just released their 2025 report on employee engagement, and this time they did a global report. And would you believe if I told you that 23% only of the global workforce feels like they're truly engaged in what they do. Now imagine if you can create a culture of belonging that increases productivity, performance, employee engagement, and purpose. Belonging is not just about fitting in. It's about being seen, being heard, and valued for who you truly are. And when companies prioritize belonging, employees don't just show up. They bring their full potential. And as you know, here at Rise Up For You, we are all about helping you be your absolute best, whether it's in the workplace or in your personal life. So here's my challenge for you. What's one step, just one takeaway you can do today to create a belonging and a more environment of belonging in your workplace? I would love to hear your comments below. Keep the conversation going and let me know your thoughts. And before I let you go, remember that the team here at Rise Up For You is here to support you and your team. So if you're an individual that wants to push yourself to that next level as a leader, as an influential communicator, then join us on a call, completely free. Click the link below and we're happy to talk with you one-on-one. And if you're a leader or a CEO that runs a company and a team and you really see the benefits of these skills that we are training and coaching through, hop on a call with us. We'd be happy to share more about how we can support your team, because your success is our success, and soft skills, they are the new success skills. I'll see you next time, and remember, welcome to Rise Up For You TV.